Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. Amma ba'd, my brothers and sisters, I greet you with Islamic greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you to come into this mahfal, to this place of the brotherhood and sisterhood, to bring justice to our brothers and sisters in Rohingya. We start by of course, our friend, our brothers, Robin Marsh. He welcomes us to his place.
Well, welcome. We are very happy when this building is used for a good cause. And particularly, we believe, Universal Peace Federation, that humanity is one family. It doesn't matter which religion, which color, which creed, which nationality. We're all one family and we all have sacred value. In that case, then each life is so precious. So helping protect lives is very important. And I'm very grateful that the Justice4 Rohingya has been using this building a number of times for small events and small meetings and now larger ones. And we really want to find a solution to this crisis, and particularly deterrence of this work will have great effect. So we hope, we pray, and we will support these activities. And I'm very grateful also to Sheikh Ramzy. He's the director of UPF, so we can work as a team. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله مولانا العظيم.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khair, Shaykhuna. Excellent voice and excellent recitation of the Quran.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, and little Saima over there, can I welcome you all very much indeed into this beautiful building. What better place can we be in than the building which deals with peace all across the world? So I am delighted to be here. We've got the facts and the figures which we can tell you how many thousands have died, but you know, until you see with your own eyes the suffering and the torture, the raping, the gang raping of young innocent children as well as women, men being completely annihilated, whole cities, houses being burnt, I decided I am now going to devote my life to doing human rights full-time. And that is why I am here today. I want to thank Sheikh Ramzy and everybody, his team and this building for hosting this event today. I believe that if we join forces, and I'm so pleased here tonight, we haven't just got Muslims or Muslim sympathisers, we've got a cross-section of society, we've got all faiths, and I'm so pleased to see my brother here from the Sikh community. We are one. We need to be one. We need to get together, join our forces, and collectively persuade those people who are letting this torture go on that it is not going to go on any further. We need to persuade them that we believe in humanity. As human beings in 2018, this is outrageous. And I'm so pleased we've got very senior people from law who are going to be writing a report. I'm so pleased we've got imams. I'm so pleased we've got activists in the community. I'm so pleased because all of us together can make a difference. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It's a great event we are here today tonight. It is a great cause all of us work here. The suffering of the humanity in this modern age is utterly unacceptable. We are very shocked and horrified. The world leaders, politicians are not doing enough to stop this genocide and massacre, and not helping the justice could take place. We're very fortunate tonight to see some of the professionals in legal field came forward to bring this to International Court of Justice. It's very encouraging, a great noble job. I hope they will be initiated. And we need to also, same time, pressurizing that the most influential world leaders, if they agree to do something, it could stop easily. So we need to draw their attention to all these conflicts internationally happening. What's happening in the Middle East at the moment, is all this possible to stop? Just needed to agree, a few world leaders to say, we all agree to bring the peace in this world. And believe me, that will not leave any room for any kind of terrorism anywhere in the world. So this is a decision needed. But what we can do, we can pressurize, we can create all these lobbies and campaign to draw attention. I believe most of the people in this world, whatever is their religion, all of them agree to have the peace. Only those who are power hungry, there is political motives, is one of the main reasons to bring all this disaster to the humanity. Thank you for talking. Please, leading from the Barristers community, all of us with you, let us do something good for the suffering humanity. I ask you forgiveness again. I need to leave straight away now. I'll be missing your beautiful speeches and contribution. But most importantly, that all of us are here to agree to do something good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum again and good evening. First of all, I appreciate Dr. Ramzy, who is my close friend, and all the others who organized this, lawyers and imams, academics. It's a cause that we all are more or less same. When human beings' sufferings are same, but when someone very near suffers, that causes more pain. So I am not a Rohingya, but I come from Bangladesh. I studied in University of Chittagong, and Chittagonian dialect and Rohingya dialect more or less same. So in my university life, I learned the dialect. I cannot communicate, but I understand what exactly is happening, what the sort of suffering that they are suffering and explaining. So I decided to write a book on them. There are many books, and my knowledge was not that much, so I decided to visit Burma. I was in Rangoon last week for 1 week, and I decided to know what the impact China is having, so I went to China for a while. And the book is going through the typesetting, and the name is Rohingya Crisis: A People Facing Extinction. And I'll just say a few things about why this should be taken up by the whole of humanity. And Britain, the country that ruled Myanmar, Britain has a rule, and we are citizens of Britain. And together, as citizens, as a country, we have more responsibility towards bringing this painful saga of a community, of a people, to an end. But apparently, there appears to be no solution. But we are human beings. We cannot be pessimists. And there are ways of doing this. One way is helping the Rohingya brothers and sisters, wherever they are, through charity. I was involved in charity, I'm still involved in charity. The other way is creating awareness in the diaspora Rohingya community, Bangladeshi community, because Bangladesh is also suffering, and also creating awareness among the most upright people on the earth. There are many, many upright people on the earth who fought against racism, apartheid in South Africa, and there should be a campaign. And that campaign can originate in Britain, because Britain has a legacy of doing many good things in the last few centuries. So, but the extent of the crisis, extent of the damage, extent of the pain is important for us to know. And I have just mentioned one or two things why people, those who know what is happening, call it a genocide. UN has called it ethnic cleansing, and still UN is not doing that much. But if the world agrees that it is a genocide, then the rule of the game will be changed. And I know there are politics, China, India, and different political games. But once human beings come together and press UN to call it a genocide, then things will be changed, hopefully. So there should be a big campaign for that. And I will mention one or two things only. There have been research on why it is genocide. There are 8 stages of genocide mentioned by academics: classification of the people, symbolization, dehumanization, organization of the people to do the crime, polarization between communities, preparation for ultimate pain, extermination and denial of people. And this has been researched for many years after the Second World War, and Nobel laureate Amartya Sen has called it a slow genocide, and Yale University called it a genocide. Then Queen Mary College, University of London, after 1 year research in 2015, published a report. They called it a genocide, and there was some confusion whether all the aspects of category has been fulfilled. But after 25th August last year, there is no doubt at all in the academic community, and especially those who know what's happening, that it is a genocide. So genocide has to be tackled by the whole of humanity. UN should play a role, and if UN doesn't play a role, the citizens of the country, citizens of the world should play a role. And in that, our lawyers and civic leaders, we all have a role to play. And personally, I have my full concentration on the British Muslim, European Muslims, but this Rohingya issue has shocked me, and as like Sister Nazma, my commitment to the Rohingya cause is 100%, and I'll try to organize and create a campaign against this barbarity through bringing the civic leaders, political leaders, especially in this country. And let's do these things, charity and all other things together. And once again, thank you very much for listening to me. And it's the time for us to act. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. Do you know something? If your child was murdered, or if your sister was raped, Would you want to know whether that comes under any definition? No. Definitions. I sometimes think if these atrocious acts happened to these people in major decision-making corridors of power, they would not consider definitions of ethnic cleansing, definition of genocide. We all know exactly what it is. Thank you, my brother, for giving us a definition. But what we need to do is to say to people, everybody, this is what it is. You may not see it in your family, you may not see it in front of you. This is what's happening, and we want to get rid of it. And that's the only way we can do it. Thank you very much indeed.
I'm a Rohingya. I was born and brought up in Arkhana State, western part of Burma. I left from Arkhana State when I was about 17. My grandfather was a member of parliament during democratic period time of Burma from 1950s to 1962. My mother grandfather was the first judge in Arkhana State. Today, Burmese government and military is saying, I do not exist as a Rohingya. Today, Burmese government is denying all the rights of Rohingya. They strip off our ethnic rights. You know, democratic period time, Rohingya have been recognized as an ethnic group of Burma like other nationalities. They strip up our ethnic rights. They strip up our citizenship by introducing 1982 citizenship law. That law deprived basic fundamental rights of the Rohingya. Because of that law, today I'm not a citizen of Burma, even though my grandfather was a member of parliament and my father served for the government service for 20 years. And then we face restriction of movement, restriction on marriage, restriction on education, so on. When I was as a kid in Burma, Arkhana State, I was not able to move from like London to Manchester. It takes like 2 to 3 days to get a pass. When I was a kid, I saw that my brothers, my elder brothers, they need to get a pass to get married. It takes like 2 to 3 years. You have to provide a big bribe to do that. Myself, I couldn't go to the university. I studied in London. Even though my grandfather, my father studied in Burma. It's been going on many decades, this systematic persecution to our own people in Burma. What we have seen recently, like August 2017, this is last stage of genocide. You know, I was in Bangladesh last 4 months ago. I met more than 100 victims of genocide. And it is unspeakable. I don't know how to express that. One man told me the military entered his village and they rounded up with 20 trucks all over the village, around the village, and they just enter house to house, they set fire. It's very systematic, and they entered, they dragged women and they raped, and he saw that his daughter was raped in front of him. He's seen that his another daughter, the kid was about 2 years, snatched from the mother and thrown to the fire. And he has seen another, his son was slaughtered in front of him. He was able to hide, and his compound is very big, and that's the way he fled to Bangladesh, he told me. Another sister told me, when military entered her village, straight away on the lane, the military saw a kid who was about like 7 years, just knifed to death, and entered her house. She was raped about 20 minutes, and another military tried to rape her, and she was able to escape, and her husband was slaughtered while she was facing rape. There are many, many similar stories I heard when I was in Bangladesh camps. It's unspeakable, it's inexpressible. And I was there in Bangladesh last 4 weeks ago, and I have seen the same situation is still going on. The military is still coming to their village, threatening them. Why you guys are still here? You now belong to this country. If you want to face the same thing how we did like Tulatuli and other villages, you know, mass murder, you guys live here. Otherwise, you fled from this country. That is how the military is warning. It's been going on 6 months, my dear brothers and sisters. We have not seen any international community action. Unfortunately. Everyone raised, we are concerned, we are, it is very disturbing news, and so on. This is very systematic, my dear brothers and sisters. You know, first, they strip up our ethnic right, and strip up our citizenship right, and they impose restriction of movement, marriage, education, confiscation of lands, and created popular violence against us. And they burned down many houses in central part of Arkan last 2012. And now they, you know, practicing mass killings. You know, even though we are a manageable minority in Burma, one of the, you know, the largest Muslim ethnic group in Burma. We have our land. We had only the land. Even though we are facing serious persecution, now finally they burn our villages and they just push us from the land to Bangladesh. This is very systematic. Burmese military and government is destroying our community with intention. This is genocide. Whenever genocide happens, international communities say, never again. Today, in 21st century, we Rohingya people are facing genocide in western part of Burma. My dear brothers and sisters, you all join here. That's the thing I can see, that you all care about our people situation. You all care about Rohingya people. We are friendless in our own country. As a whole Burma, no one sees Rohingya as a citizen. They all want to get rid of us. Very systematic hate speech already created in Burma. We are friendless. It seems like when massacre happened, people gave attention. So as you come in here, you care about our situation. I will be frank to you. We need your action. We need your help. We need your support. We want justice to see what's happened to our brothers and sisters in Burma. I hope you will continue to raise the issue. You will continue to look for justice for our people. I really hope that after you leaving from this room, you will try to do something for our people. Inshallah, I would like to express all of you, thank you so much, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. I greet you with Islamic greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May peace and blessing of Almighty God be upon you all. My brothers and sisters, United Nations has called Rohingya. United Nations has called Rohingya the most persecuted minority group in the world and described the atrocity by Myanmar authority as an ethnic cleansing when they accept. We are going to soon to prove there is a genocide. They say slow genocide, high genocide. I talked to Antonio Guterres. He said, you're talking rubbish. I said, is a Holocaust? He said, no. I said, we're turning our face. It's a genocide. He said, no, there is no proof. There is no proof. We are going to prove it. Now, the important is, this has happened, my brothers and sisters. This has happened since 1978. Killing, raping, murdering, burning alive, slavery, starvation and humiliation of the Rohingya people goes on and on and on. But the world is silent. Another Holocaust happened. The world is silent. And the Muslims around the world, like me, are blind and deaf. Like me and blind and deaf. 1.8 billion. My brothers and sisters, blind and deaf to the cry of the woman who just been gang raped. And the cry, the little child burning alive in a fire. My brothers and sisters, I am deaf. I am deaf to the sound of the bullet that ripped the heart of the man who was doing zikrullah, who was crying, Allah, Allah, Allah. Where you been? I'm deaf. I can't hear. Brothers and sisters, this is a reality. We are silent. We are silent to the heinous crime against our brothers and sisters and against the humanity. Not only am I guilty of the silence in front of tyrant, murderer and dictators, but I am guilty of covering up their crime by staying silent and not doing anything about it. I'm covering it up. Nothing happened. My brothers and sisters, as soon as a million people raped, tortured, killed, and escaped from the death camp, I am rushing to just feed them and shelter. Rushing, feed them and shelter. Of course, my brothers and sisters, it's an excellent job. It's a noble job to feed them. It's a noble job to care for them. But one has to remember, this situation is a different with when act of God, act of Allah or nature involved. If it was tsunami, says yes, I help. I sell my jacket. If it was the earthquake, I do. If it was a famine, I say yes. If it was a plague, I say yes. But it is not. It was an act of tyrant authority of Myanmar. Tyrant authority of Myanmar. I'm rushing to help it. They should pay for the food and shelter. My brothers and sisters, Rohingya people, they had food, they had houses, they had shops, they had cars, they had livestock, they had a land worth billions of pounds. Speak to my face, I'm telling you. Billions of pounds, acres, hundreds of thousands of acres, kilometers around, they were done and they taken away. All been stolen by the rapist and tyrant while I am silent. My brothers and sisters, before the food, they need justice. Justice for a woman which has been gang raped and is where you just patting her shoulder and giving her food and a toilet to go. That's what you're doing. Before they need justice. The woman who raped, a child has been burned, her husband been shot. She needs justice, not the food and shelter. She wants to die. She cries to Allah, Oh Allah, oh God, where is your justice? Where is your justice? Where is the people? Where is my brothers and sisters? And Allah commands us. Allah commands us in the Holy Quran. Inna Allah ya'muru bil 'adli wal ihsan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, behold, the God command you for a justice and a good. Justice and a good, not just a good. We forget about justice. Are we scared? Are we weak? My brothers and sisters, here God asks us for His help. Help for millions of people, the most tortured people in the world. You know what Allah says in the Holy Quran? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. He talks to me and you, our believers. If you are believers, if I'm believers, you are believers. Oh believer, kunu ansar Allah. Be helper of Allah. Be helper of Allah. Or scholars here, if I'm telling God, have a look. Kunu ansar Allah. Be helper of Allah. Kama qala Isa ibn Maryam. When it's the way which Jesus, son of Mary, said, to Hawariyun, Man ansari Allah. Man ansari Allah. Who gonna help me toward Allah? And Hawariyun said, Nahnu ansar Allah. We help Allah. This is in the Holy Quran. Nahnu ansar Allah. We help Allah. Allah need the help here. There is no joke. He said it. It's not cause of Allah. He said, Nahnu ansar Allah. We are helper of Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu ansar Allah. Be like these ansar. Go and read your Quran. And again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, be answer, help me, but he said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Me and you, believer. In tansurullah yansurkum. And ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, in tansurullah yansurkum. And what he says, read it. Oh people, if you help Allah, He will help you and make your feet firm. Word of Allah. Word of Allah. And word of Allah, if it's said wrong, tell me, a scholar are here. Word of Allah, you don't believe it? If you don't believe it, there's nothing. You help Allah, Allah help you. إِن تَنْصُرُ اللَّهِ يَنْصُرُكُمْ وَيُثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَكُمْ. This is important, my brothers. Help Allah and He make you firm. He make you, He help you. You just need to take it one. Prophet ﷺ said, if you take it one step, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will get 10 steps for you. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, you have to remember. We have opportunity now. I know the time is short, but we have, my brothers and sisters, we have opportunities. It is our responsibility, the duty of the humanity, the duty of the brothers and sisters, to put it right, to bring the justice of God, the humanitarian justice to the people, to these people. Our lawyers are here. We've got excellent lawyers. Excellent lawyers. You can talk to them. You can interrogate them. You want to say, they will assure you, basically, the perpetrator of this heinous crime, this killing, this humanitarian act of the unhumanitarian, evil thing to court of justice. My brothers and sisters, the only way we can do, the only way we can settle these people, these Rohingya back, is this way. Bring these perpetrators, no matter who is that, no matter if it's the government of the Burma, no matter if it's the general, no matter if it's the top Buddhist of the, whatever, we don't say anything until they prove. They prove it, bring it, and we take it to United Nations, we take it to the ICC, we take it to many. We can do it together. United, we can do it, my brothers and sisters. Don't underestimate yourself. It's your brothers and sisters. Now that's my brothers and sisters, the last things. They are here. They are bringing me. 5 months they are working with me. 5 months without a pay. 5 months without a pay. They 800,000 pounds a year. They want 5 months without a pay. Say, we working. We know it is right. We know it is humanitarian. We know it is for the right things. We know we did not lose our time. Therefore, let us be united, my brothers and sisters. Let us be united in our human and Islamic duty to bring justice and peace to Rohingya and Myanmar people together. Amen.
What passion. The next two speakers that I have the great privilege to introduce to you in a moment are people who are taking action. They are experts in their field. They are experts in their legal field. Both of them specialise in humanitarian, international human rights law. Michael is one of the lawyers that Sheikh Sam has just mentioned, who's been working tirelessly on this case. He's just going to say a few words and then introduce our friend here. Thank you, Michael.
I'd like to start by saying thank you to the Universal Peace Federation, and they've hosted us for the last 5 months, as Sheikh Ramzy says, and it's fantastic to be here, and they do some great work. I encourage you to have a look at the work they do in bringing people of different faiths together and working for human rights around the world. I would like to thank Sheikh Ramzy, who has poured his heart and soul into what we are doing, and he exudes positivity. He says we can do this and we can bring this forward. So I'd like to thank him for that energy that he has put into what we're doing. Now, I recognise some faces I've seen before at previous events. Diana and I have spoken about the law, we've spoken about the process of a public inquiry. I'm a barrister. I work in international human rights law, international criminal law, and domestic criminal law. I've worked at the Khmer Rouge Tribunal in Cambodia, and I worked on the Litvinenko inquiry and inquest in this country. I know how inquiries work, I know how to put them together, I know how international criminal law works, and how to prove a case before an international court. What I want to speak to you, and I will speak very quickly, is about what we plan to do. In regards to the inquiry, what are going to be the outcomes of this inquiry? What do we need your help to be able to achieve? What we'll be putting together is a report of evidence. With the assistance of groups in the UK and abroad, we will collect evidence about any crimes which have been committed in Myanmar during this period. We will examine that evidence and put it together in a report. We will hear live evidence before a panel of eminent international judges and lawyers, experts in this field, who will hear live evidence from the people affected. And we will come together with a final report which will show what's happened and who is responsible. Because the important thing is this, we all know, we believe that the crimes have been committed. But if someone was to come into this country or another European country tomorrow, do we have the evidence that we could go ahead and prosecute them in that country? We don't have that at the moment. So it's all well and good knowing what you want to do, but the first step is to compile this evidence, to test this evidence, and that's what we will do. The outcomes of the inquiry will be these. We will produce the report, but it will provide a forum for the preservation of the evidence about what's happened. It will provide for a historical and a legal record about what's happened in Myanmar. It will provide for education, so we can educate the next generation about what's happened in Myanmar. And further to that, it will give us the evidence which is needed to pursue people who have committed crimes in Myanmar. So when you look at this inquiry, it doesn't have one simple aim. It has all these different aims. How will it operate? The first stage, we will receive evidence. The evidential stage, we will receive live evidence and documentary evidence about what's happened. We will put together an evidential report, and this report will go before our panel of international jurists. And this week, I've spoken to a number of very eminent international criminal lawyers who've agreed to be involved with this inquiry. We're talking about people of the highest level, and then we will come out with the final report, which will show who's responsible, which will show what happened in Myanmar. I'm very pleased today to have Lewis Power QC, who's agreed to chair the inquiry. And Lewis Power is a Queen's Counsel, and he's a top criminal barrister in the United Kingdom. He also sits on the International Bar Association's War Crimes Committee, and he has lectured in international human rights law. So I'm very pleased we have such an eminent leader to lead this inquiry. I will introduce him in just one moment. You've heard from me a brief outline about what we're going to do, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Whilst we're eating dinner, please come and find me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But we cannot do this without your assistance, and that's where you come in. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Lewis Power, Queen's Counsel.
Esteemed guests, those distinguished before me, those very fine words that we have heard tonight from those evocative speakers, words from the heart, from a whole range of persons involved and potentially to be involved in the course that we are about to pursue. I am humbled tonight to be before you in terms of this groundbreaking event. I feel humbled this evening in such revered company. It's my privilege to be able to say a few words about what we wish to achieve in terms of the Myanmar inquiry. First and foremost, you must note, and I must stress, that this is totally a humanitarian and not a political mission. None of us will act until we see the empirical evidence before it is fully considered, and none of us will prejudge this issue. And whilst coming here this afternoon, coming up from Brighton and then coming to Victoria in the tube, I was thinking of what potentially I could say by way of opening. And what I thought about was this, that what a cruel irony it is for such a country as Myanmar to be renowned for its exquisite gems, in particular its blood-red rubies, to have now become tainted and labelled with the bloodshed and indeed the genocide of the Rohingya people. And we have heard from this gentleman who sits before me, head bowed at the moment. And you know full well that the Rohingya people are a proud and dignified people who describe themselves as descendants of Arab traders, who settled in the region of Myanmar and Burma many generations ago. They are a distinct ethnicity with their own language, ideologies and culture, but they claim a long historical connection to the Rohingya state. Eminent scholars you have heard from tonight, and those scholars will tell you, and in fact from a friend who has spent the last 4 months labouring, writing his book about the Rohingya people, that they've been present in the region since the 15th century. And over the centuries, ladies and gentlemen, and now reaching saturation point, they have encountered those people, prolonged and persistent prejudice, persecution, and the government of Myanmar continually describes them as being illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. You've heard that they have been described amongst the world's least wanted, cast out from the place that they dub their home, and one of the world's most persecuted minorities. They are deprived, ladies and gentlemen, of the most basic of human rights. And Google for yourselves later tonight what human rights entail. The first and most prominent is the right to equality. They've been deprived of the right to free movement. They have been deprived, as you've heard tonight, of the right to higher education. They have been denied Burmese citizenship since the Burmese nationality law was enacted. They're not allowed to travel without obtaining official permission, and they were previously required to sign a commitment not to have more than 2 children. Human rights, I ask you to consider. And to add insult to injury, they're subjected to routine forced labour, where typically in the past a Rohingya man will have to give up 1 day a week to work in military or government projects. And the Rohingya have lost a lot of their land, as you've heard, confiscated by the military to give to Buddhist settlers from elsewhere in Myanmar. We move on quickly, and I'm aware of the time, to these modern times, ladies and gentlemen, the 1970s. Regularly the Rohingya people being the target of persecution by the government and nationalist Buddhists. Many, as you know, have fled to neighbouring Bangladesh as a result, and in 2005 the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees had assisted with the repatriation of Rohingyas from Bangladesh. But those abuses in the camps that you've heard about indeed threatened and thwarted this effort. But alas, ladies and gentlemen, all of this has been recently overshadowed. It's in fact been eclipsed by the recent atrocities which have sent shockwaves around the world, but yet they await the necessary international intervention to come to their aid, those people crying out for aid and help. And the world is deaf, as Sheikh Ramzy has said. They want to be given back their basic human rights. They want to be given back their dignity. And notably, since 2016, the world has seen atrocities on a scale virtually unparalleled. Well, Dr. Ramzy's words sent a shudder through us all. Children and elderly burnt in their homes, civilians shot as they flee, mass use of gang rape of women and children, I hear in the reports as young as 5 years of age. Babies thrown into fires, alive, victims forced to watch their loved ones being murdered. So the state in that country, the only word for it is grim. They say there are continued alleged abuses by the government of Burma, which include torture, unlawful arrest, detention, restricted movement. I can go on and on. And there we have it in conclusion, that we have had this vast displacement is the new word, the new terminology. Hundreds of thousands of people. We know that figures have recently put it at 700,000, adding to the 200,000 last year, nearly a migration of 1 million people. So where are we now at present? Well, movement seems to be upon us, does it not? Because in the past 24 hours, the UN Human Rights Chief, the High Commissioner no less, has called for all atrocities committed against Myanmar's Rohingya to be referred finally to the International Criminal Court for prosecution. Prince Zayed bin Rashid Al Hussein, who has previously described Myanmar's campaign against the Rohingya as a textbook case of ethnic cleansing, has urged the country to allow monitors in to restricted areas to investigate what he called suspected acts of genocide. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are what we are about. We want to be instrumental in preparing this report using top academics, top lawyers and top judges so that we can present the facts to fair international bodies so that we can achieve these aims. If they want to disprove the allegations of serious violations against the Rohingyas, invite us into the Rohingya state, Zayed told a news conference last Friday in Geneva. We are saying that there are strong suspicion that yes, acts of genocide may have taken place, but we know that only a court can confirm this. Of course, what has the Myanmar government said? Well, their National Security Advisor, Tang Tun, said last Thursday, if it was genocide, then they would have all been driven out by now. Dismissal members of the audience that you're listening to at the moment, and remember that history repeats itself, and remember what happened in the Second World War and the dismissal of what had happened in terms of that first Holocaust. But a new Holocaust is upon us. They say it is very important to prosecute Myanmar leaders at the ICC and to end this ongoing genocide. So what we know is more than 1 million people are seeking justice. Justice is what we want. And when we look at the news and all those various news channels, and we see the recent satellite imagery, we know that more than 360 Rohingya villages have been partially or completely destroyed since August, with at least 55 of those villages completely bulldozed, removing all traces of buildings, wells and vegetation. Well, the stark reality is that Myanmar, protecting themselves at the moment until we produce this report, have not allowed the UN investigators into the country. A UN fact-finding mission, finally, ladies and gentlemen, is due to report on Monday on its initial findings, based on interviews with victims and survivors in Bangladesh and other countries. Of course, what the Myanmar government says is those who want to become citizens of Myanmar, we are happy to welcome them, but they have to go through a process. There cannot be automatic citizenship. So do you feel that we are left in a farcical and improper situation? And we, of course, those lawyers who will come to participate in this inquiry, but we can guarantee that we will observe the finest traditions of our roles as ministers of justice, keeping an open mind on the evidence without coming to preconceived ideas or judgments. So how do we face this problem? We have been in contact with the authors of the report on North Korea and the atrocities in terms of political prisons that was prepared last year. I'm nearly finished. so please bear with me for about 2 minutes more. In that report last year, it was said the gravity, scale, duration and nature of the unspeakable atrocities committed in North Korea revealed a totalitarian state that does not have any parallel in the contemporary world. Well, how wrong that was within a year. Because Rohingya and the crisis there eclipses anything that has happened there. It's more massive than anything that we have seen in recent times. In Africa, in terms of the situation in Kenya, in Rwanda, in the Balkans, where I have had previous experience, and the Kosovan inquiry, which is about to start in terms of the atrocities towards the Serbs. This is unparalleled. So we need to set up this inquiry to consider that there is prima facie evidence of the commission of international crimes, as well as the legal responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, for any crimes that have been committed. We will look as to whether there is a forum for accountability for any crimes committed, and we will provide recommendations as to what further actions shall be taken. We'll deal with it by the evidential stage, the consideration stage, the hearing stage, and finally the final report. And in concluding, you may wish to know that I am no stranger to civil conflict myself. I grew up, ladies and gentlemen, at the height of the sectarian conflict in Northern Ireland. And that is why this issue resonates with me greatly. When we look at both sides of the conflict, as we have to, we remember the words, do we not, from the spiritual leader of 88% of Myanmar, the spiritual leader of Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, who himself recently said, all beings want to live in peace and happiness, undisturbed, therefore the concept of human rights is universal. However, I leave you with these words, and these are the words of one of my fellow countrymen, the late great statesman Edmund Burke, who sums it up more eloquently than I could ever. And he said this, and some of you may remember his words: the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. I look around me in this room, I see good people turned up today who appreciate that something must be done. And if we do nothing, we are nearly as liable as those who are committing the atrocities.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time.
One of the best friends, one of the best fundraisers which I ever known, Brother Azwan Masroor, and inshallah he will going to raise 100,000 pounds. Say, hey!
I'm going to raise 100,000 pounds. That's what he said.
Inshallah.
That's what he said, right?
Very move.
It's coming from his pocket. I'm pretty certain. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the Universe. Peace and blessings of all of us upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by greeting you all with Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Today we are gathered here today to do something simple. I don't have a habit of beating around the bush. For those of you who know me, I'm quite direct. You've heard the speeches, you've heard the plight of the people of Rohingya, both from somebody who is Rohingya himself and from others. Most of them are very eloquent and esteemed scholars and experts in their own right. But most importantly, from the lawyers who are promising to do something extraordinary for all of us. In fact, for the humanity at large. It is sad. It is a sad indictment of the entire humanity that we, live 21st century world where technology is so advanced. We can send rockets to Mars. In fact, we can even dream of sending human beings to Mars. But we cannot gather evidence and prosecute barbarians, murderers, rapists, and genocide perpetrators in Rohingya, in Arakan, in Myanmar. It's not that we can't. I believe there is no international willingness to do so. There's a verse of the Quran that causes me a lot of trouble. On a regular basis when I read this verse, it shakes me to the core. For my Muslim friends, I hope it does the same to you, and for my non-Muslim friends, please forgive me for saying what I'm about to say. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ وَالْوِلْدَانِ الَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا أَخْرِجْنَا مِنْ هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةِ الظَّالِمِ أَهْلُهَا وَاجْعَلْ لَنَا مِنْ لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا وَاجْعَلْ لَنَا مِنْ لَدُنْكَ نَصِيرًا. When I hear this verse, I feel like weeping. In fact, every time I hear it recited in the prayers, I do weep. It means, and what is wrong with you? That you don't go out to struggle in the cause of God for the utterly man and woman helpless, man and woman and children who are crying out saying, "Oh our Lord, lead us forth to freedom out of this land whose people are oppressors, and raise for us out of this, out of your grace a protector, and raise for us out of your grace somebody who will be our helper." I worry about my fate on the Day of Judgment, ladies and gentlemen. And Allah will remind me of this verse, and He will say, "And what's wrong with you? That when man and woman and children were crying out, asking for help, and they did nothing." I don't know what I will say. I do believe on the Day of Judgment. I believe there will be an accountability. Otherwise the world doesn't make any sense. So we need to do something about it. We need to do something about it, and nothing can be done unless we put our money where our mouth is. We need to put our money where our mouth is, because unfortunately these kind of projects and this kind of program costs a lot of money. International community has become blind to some of these things. So our lawyers have become extremely clever in saying, okay, you deny the existence of genocide, we'll prove it to you. Yes. Once we've proven it to you, then we'll see what you do. And I think we should support them. We need to raise £100,000, right? But that's not the cost. They need £800,000 a year for 2 years. You listening? They need £800,000 a year for 2 years. Why? The international lawyers, the judges, the witnesses, the traveling, the gathering of evidence, it costs huge amounts of money. In fact, these can only be done by states who have the money to be able to do it. But we're trying to do it privately. It's not easy. When Srebrenica inquiry was launched, it cost hundreds of millions of pounds, not small amounts, hundreds of millions of pounds to investigate the genocide against the Bosnian people by the Serbs. It took them more than 10 years, and it's still ongoing, forensic, inch by inch. I've seen it with my own eyes how they do the inquiry when I've been to Bosnia, Srebrenica to see what they do. It's bone fragments that they gather to be able to match with a living person, to identify a dead body, and then to say this person was murdered. And what they did in Srebrenica was brutal, was unbelievable, but they were caught. Let's start with seeing if there is anyone here who would like to take a pledge to raise or donate for this cause £10,000. Think about it. £10,000 is towards our final target of 1.6 million. That is what is needed to be raised eventually. But tonight we're going to raise 100,000. Is there anyone here who could donate from their own pockets, from their own businesses, or could take up the pledge of raising £10,000 from their friends and their family? I'm looking for that first person who says, yes, I will do it. You're going to be not just speaking about it, but you are going to put your money where your mouth is. You're going to say, I just don't do the talking, I also do the walking. Is there anyone here who can start us off tonight with a pledge? You can take your time to raise the money. You don't have to do it straight away. You can take your time. And you can of course reach out to your friends and your family. I'm looking for somebody to raise £10,000 or donate £10,000. Do we have anyone here who would like to start me off at £10,000? Don't be shy and don't be afraid of giving for a good cause, a cause that will have a longest impact in our history. Anyone here who would like to start me off at £10,000 you're looking for? Remember what I said. You don't have to donate it yourself. You need to raise it or donate it or collectively done in combination. Who's going to be the first person giving £10,000? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We have the capacity in the room. All of you have to be brave and say, I will raise the money. And I will take the challenge on. If my son, who's 5 years old, if my daughter, who's 7 years old, could take up a challenge to raise 5,000, we have, ladies and gentlemen, a massive round of applause over there. We have 1,000 Three people have raised their hands, 10,000 each or together.
Shahzada Shahryar Pasha and his team will raise 10,000.
I did say we have people in the room who could do it. We have first donation pledge of £10,000. We've got, of course, forms that will come to you that you can complete. £5,000. We have ladies over there. Please give them a massive round of applause. Thank you very much. Wow. And your sister there, is that your daughter next to you?
Yes.
Very encouraged, very good. £5,000 over there. We've got one more pledge. We've got £15,000 in the room. What about the rest of us? Who else is going to be the next person making that pledge? It's about cause, it's about mission, it's about believing in this. I'm looking for £5,000. Anybody else? We have, mashallah, give him a massive round of applause. He's from a centre. What is the centre called? Al-Huda Centre, right? Yeah. Al-Huda Centre, they have got a fantastic centre in East London. He's given a pledge of £5,000. I like to say, I want to see the same from different people. £5,000 pledges. I've got £20,000 pledge in the room. That's 1/4 raised, 20% done so far. Okay. We've got 80% to go. 5,000.
One here.
Inshallah, we have massive round of applause. £5,000 at the front. £25,000. Excellent, 25. I'm looking for a few more. 5,000. Let's all take a responsibility of raising 5 each. That's very easily done. Who's going to be the next person doing £5,000? £5,000. Anyone else? Please don't say you can't, because that's not a good answer. The answer is, I will, inshallah. What is it, Dr. Ramzy?
Sheikh Saleh, I think Sheikh Saleh.
He has already given 5,000. We've already praised him and thanked him and thanked Allah.
Sheikh Abu Tahir Chowdhury, mashallah, may Allah bless him.
Have you asked him already?
Inshallah.
5,000 pounds, look at that. So, Dr. Ramzy has good influence in Abu Tahir.
No, may Allah bless him.
And he knows where his money is. Not under his mattress if you're looking for money. He doesn't have to. I'm just joking with you. That's £30,000. I'm looking for a bit more. I can see other centres. I can see other centres in this place. I can see people from different places.
AMS Ashraf Chowdhury is one of the greatest. He is Ashraf Chowdhury.
Where?
Head of AMS, here you are.
What is it? I can't see. Is that 5,000? We have £30,000. £30,000 we have. £30,000. I see these people myself. I know them very well, but I'm not naming them yet. £30,000 we have in the room. Is that right? £30,000? 35? Is that with your 5? No, 35. Be careful. £35,000. £35,000. In such events, even scratching your head becomes very expensive because I catch you. Who would like to give £5,000? I'm looking for £5,000. We've got 35. 35 in the room. That's 33% done.
Thank you.
Or just over 30.
Sheikh, do 5,000.
You will do the same, ladies and gentlemen. The Ramzy will do £5,000, £40,000.
And Sheikh Modu Hassan is one of the greatest scholars.
I'm coming to him, inshallah. He is my teacher.
Your teacher.
My teacher. Sheikh Modu Hassan, is that okay? 5,000 from your centre?
I'll collect from the...
Yes, inshallah. Give him a massive round of applause. You see, that's the idea. You go to your friend and put your hand in his pocket, or her pocket, and say, I'm giving some charity. So we've got £40,000, is that right? Yeah. £40,000 at the moment? £40,000. Who's going to be the next person making the same commitment? I will raise the money. £5,000 I'm looking for. Anybody else? Over there, ladies and gentlemen, one more massive round of applause. We have £50,000. How much is the money that we need? £50,000 we have. That goes in. 5,000 over there, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, a massive round of applause. Over there, £55,000. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, we're not very far away. £55,000 we have. Who's going to be the next person giving £5,000 commitment? A pledge to raise £5,000. You know, if you go home tonight, look at your mail, look at your emails, make a list of 20 people that you know and you trust. Send them an email saying, we are on the process, on the verge of launching a private inquiry to establish the genocide in Rohingya. Can you help, please? We need to raise this money. I'm telling you, people will donate straight away. I'm going to go down, like I said, now £1,000 from all of us. I'm pretty certain we will get that. Who is going to be the first person giving £1,000 either by themselves or they will raise? Still, the options are open. £1,000 I'm looking for. £1,000 we have. And my dear brother here, give him a massive round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, right at the front. Are you from a center?
No.
No. What's your name? Sharif, thank you very much, Sharif. Allah bless you. Amazing.
He's former president of Somalia. Malaysia. I'm sorry, Somalia. Former president of Somalia.
Somalia is in the country. President. Welcome. Thank you very much. £1,000. Anybody else? Okay. How about £500? I'm going slowly, but making sure everyone can take part. £500. Anyone else? Anyone? £500 over there, ladies and gentlemen. A massive round of applause. Thank you very much. Right at the back. We have £62,000. £62,000 in the room. £500. Anybody else? £500. Anyone else? 500. Anyone else? 500 over here, ladies and gentlemen. Another massive round of applause. £500 right at the front. £500 for this gentleman here wearing a leather jacket and a very nice red shirt. £62,500. MashaAllah. 10. Just 10. 60. No, behind you. 62,500. Anybody else? £500. £500 over there, ladies and gentlemen. A massive round of applause for my dear brother there. £63,000. Amazing. Who is going to be the next person? I want to get to 65 and then we'll rest. 65 would be fantastic. £500. Anyone else? £500. Anyone else? 63 at the moment. £63,000. We need 4 people to give 500 each. We're stuck at 63,000 pounds.
Can you pledge for 2 more thousand here?
Allahu Akbar, we have done 65,000 pounds.
One more offer. I mean, we've got a network of schools.
Hold on, everyone. Everyone, can you all listen?
So we've got a network of schools across the country. It's such an important cause. Wonderful initiative by Doctor, because hopefully, inshallah, this will make a genuine difference. If you want to use any venues, we can link up right from the top of the country to down. And maybe you can split up 50,000 each area, and that will get you to your target.
Fantastic. So there is an offer of help as well. Thank you very much from the schools network.
AMS
Association of Muslim. Is it Muslim schools?
Yeah, Associated Muslim School. 174 schools. MashaAllah, 174.
Okay, so we're at £165,000. Food is waiting for you outside. I don't want to labour on this any longer. I'm Dr. Ramzy, £65,000 in the room, which is brilliant starting for your first initiative. I suggest and I recommend we all go out there and raise the money. We all try our best. I will set up a Just Giving page very soon, and I'll start campaigning using my own network, and I'll let you know how much I raise over time. But we can all do this if we are united. Ladies and gentlemen, all the atrocities in the world can be overcome if we are united and together. What you said earlier on, it only takes the good people like us to remain silent for evil to prevail. The evil in the world is prevailing because we're not doing enough. And the good people of this world must do enough. May Allah bless you, and may Allah make this program a success. With these words I'll finish. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Enjoy the